Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into another episode of the Psychotherapist Podcast. I am your psycho host, Malcolm Clancy, and with me is my therapist co-host, Dr. Bob. I had one agenda item going into the psychotherapy session. The rest is improvised and a lot of fun. So going into this session, I had one item about how I am reorganizing how I track my personal time and how I'm trying to advance my own goals. Bob opens up our session with a lovely Valentines meditation that is ruthlessly butchered by external audio things beyond our control, including my dicking around that I could have controlled but didn't realize how bad the audio would be, so apologies for a little hiccup here or there. But it's a wonderful meditation, and we go on many tangents, including the Trump trial craziness that's been going on. I make an argument for restoring the monarchy. There is a Buchenwald blitzkrieg that has been bombing the Clancy clan household all week, and it's just been a joy. So, thank you all for tuning in. Really appreciate it and hope you get something out of it. We'll get you a quick word from our sponsors, then we'll bounce and get it going, yo. Today's show is brought to you by Velocity Dance Company. Did you hear that? That is the swish of dancing through the studio of Velocity Dance Company. They've got dance programs for literally ladies of all ages, infants, potty trained, kindergartners, all the way through adults. Everyone can get in on it, learn all types of different dance, from ballet to jazz to tap dance, modern dance, hip hop, musical theater, interpretive dance, awesome dance, all the dances you could ever imagine. Check it out at Velocity Dance Company. That's velocitydancecompany.com. Check them out. They host birthday parties. Pick up some gear and get your life together and start dancing. Yeah. Oh, and one last thing. If you're new to the show, these are real psychotherapy sessions, so I gotta censor some things for obvious reasons. So if you hear a little, that just means sorry.
Well, if you can indulge me for a minute, okay?
Sure.
In the spirit of Valentine's Day, I want to just open up by giving you and our listeners a Valentine, okay, from me.
Aww.
Which is, something that's actually focuses on feelings of love, happiness, and compassion. And it's a meditation that was taught by the Buddha himself, with the idea being that first you are engaging yourself in a process of giving yourself some good feelings, positive feelings, and then you can extend it to others. And I'll explain how, okay?
Alright.
First of all, if you're in your car listening to this, please just turn it down and try not to pay attention to it, because it could be dangerous. If you're home and you're in a comfortable situation, you can either sit in a chair with your feet on the floor, hands on your lap, and if you're lying down, that's okay too. But just take a breath or two and kind of feel the breath as it goes in and out, and just, ride that as if it were a wave, just to ground yourself. I want you to hear. Go like this. May I be free from suffering. May I find my joy. May I be filled with love. May I be at peace. These phrases should be repeated, but the focus can also be shifted to others. So instead of saying, may I be free from suffering, you may offer the name of a friend or family member. May my grandfather be free from suffering. May my aunt find joy. May my sister be filled with love. May my family be at peace. And that's sort of the gist of it. Okay?
It's interesting.
Yeah. So very simple. Comes from some Buddhist roots and was studied by Duke University over time, over an extended period of time. It's a very positive meditation that increases the one's compassion for oneself and others. And it's good to start with a body scan or something like that before you actually do the meditation, if you have time and if people are familiar with that. But anyway, I thought it would be interesting to start out that way today.
That is, and it's a lot of positive things in there, though I take issue with the notion of may I be free from suffering.
Yes.
The Buddha says life is suffering, so I don't know how realistic.
Yes. Very, very astute observation that, that line is clearly comes out of the fact that this is a Buddhist meditation as opposed to some other form of meditation. And the suffering piece is very significant in that is basically a tenet of their beliefs. So you could take that out. Doesn't need to be in there. Be enough to say, may I find my joy. May I be filled with love. May I be at peace. Would be sufficient. Great observation on your part.
Yeah, man, I just, if I were to start my own religion, I would say lean into your suffering.
Yes, exactly.
Like, rather than may I be free of it, may I have, the balls or whatever, smarts to deal with it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would do with someone in therapy, would be to use a cognitive behavioral approach and talk about leaning into it instead of trying to avoid the pain or be free of it. Lean into it and try to deal with it.
Because there's only one solution for being free of pain, and that involves suicide.
Right, yes. Well, that's some pretty good drugs, too. Very hard to get.
True. True that.
Yeah, so, I don't know what your agenda is today. I came across something interesting, and I left it downstairs, but I think I can describe it to you, but we'll do that later.
Is that the thing you tried to describe in a voice text?
Yeah, was that a riot or what?
Yeah, I had a little trouble following all of it.
Well, I was texting you, and all of a sudden I realized I turned on the voice component, which I've never used, and I don't know how to turn it off. So I ended up dictating that text, and it came out half verb, half sound and half written. So I thought it might be very confusing for you.
Yeah, it was a little something different, It's funny because I actually this week noticed the voice text thing. I was like, maybe I'll try this one day, and then I get it from you. I'm like, I guess the technology still needs some work.
Yeah, it does. I remember doing it one other time, and it was a freaking mess, basically. Do you have any idea how to turn it off?
I'll take a quick look at my phone after and tinker with it and let you know, but not offhand. I would assume just however you turned it on, just press the same button again or something.
Yeah, it'd be nice if I knew how I turned it on. It just popped up. I had been tinkering in my settings before that, so I might have messed something up. No, the other thing I came across, and it was actually from a patient who's out in the Midwest now, who is often very interested in trying alternative treatments for all kinds of conditions. So, alternative medicine and things, herbs and things along those kinds of things. And he sent me something that he ordered, and I researched it and strongly advised me not use it, but it was an inhaler called Zen EO or something like that. And I wondered if you'd heard about that.
Not familiar.
Okay, it seems like something that may be popular with a younger group of kids, and possibly with college kids.
What's it called again?
I don't have the exact name. It's Zen. There's a Zen and then an E, and then I think a Zen again and then O. But I'll get after
Zenny
the
Zeno?
podcast. Yeah, I'll send you the full name of it. Okay, and the name of it's allegedly produced by a doctor who spent years in the Amazon with looking at some of these herbal products, and it's supposed to do everything, from clearing up your head to your rear end. But there's some cautious side effects, and when I saw those, I kind of warned him that it's something you might want to avoid. It's a nasal spray, so it's supposed to induce euphoria, a lot of the psychedelic sorts of things.
Sorry, I was gonna ask, is this medicine or is this drugs?
I think it would be considered an alternative medicine. It's used in an inhaler form. It's an inhalant, but I don't believe it's anything that's approved by the Food and Drug Administration. But I will send you in the next cast we do. I will put out the full name of the product.
Cool.
But I've heard about it a few times over the last month, and it seems like one of the newest, the latest and greatest of alternative ways to get high and feel good and feel better and cure your ills and all that stuff.
I'm starting to question the products you're promoting, Bob, but I think we'll be that kind of podcast, and I dig it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not promoting this. I'm just finding it very interesting to hear about these things.
Yeah, true. Very true.
Because as you know, I have an interest in the use of former psychedelic components that are not being used legitimately for pain and other sorts of medical problems. But
I mean, also you have a lot of issues with conventional medicine, so yeah, man, I get it.
Yeah, I have a lot of issues with conventional medicine. Mainly that I can't take a lot of it. That it raises hell with me.
Yeah.
I might have found it. Here it is. Okay. It is called Zen EO nasal spray.
Word.
And it's an herbal medicinal product developed by a doctor who spent time with a tribe in the, if you believe this, BS, with a tribe in the Amazon who taught him about the sacred Amazonian herbs that he used in this product. And that's how he promotes it. And it supposedly works along the autonomic nervous system as a way to open the mind to new ideas, new perspectives, or as a pattern interrupt to allow for change. That's promising a lot. To relieve anxiety, low mood, or a headache, to improve energy and mental alertness, and what this particular person calls calm alertness, which is sort of basically what mindfulness is. It's a quieting of the mind to improve focus and alertness. But
yeah.
And he also suggests you can use it before meditation to get a better meditation and gain a calmer point of entry into the meditation process. There you have it.
Word.
That's produced by glutagenic.com, Sarasota, Florida. So it's out there. They're all out there, Malcolm.
Yeah, man. So do you want to move on to the one agenda item I had?
Yeah, let's do it right now.
Yeah, did you, it's been updated since, but did you get the new goals list?
I don't think I did. because I would have it written down here. So can you review them with me?
Yeah, sure. So, I made a few tweaks, and, you know, this changed how I track my daily time because, you know, before it was all, you know, pretty much every task of the day, you know, I didn't get too specific, you know, if I could just write like chores and that could cover, you know, a few different things, but I realized when I was, because the goal now, instead of trying to do one Python class for that Harvard course, which is really kind of advanced stuff, I'm trying to do 10 hours a week. And, you know, last weekend when I was sort of entering, you know, this stuff, I kind of realized, like, why the fuck am I tracking how much time I spent on chores or smoking or any of this shit? Because, you know, for one thing, it was kind of blowing up my phone. I mean, I've cleared it all out since, but it's just kind of a pain to have to whip out the phone every time you change tasks, and if it's not anything that's goal oriented, it kind of just feels like a waste of time to me. So what's a lot easier for me, instead of keeping all these lists, you know, that I email myself at the end of the week or whatever, I'll just start, you know, a task, and if it's specific towards my goal, so Python, I'll just start the timer, work on Python however long, and then just, you know, I'll be on my computer anyway, so just enter the time then and there and not have to, like, track it on my phone, and that's a heck of a lot easier. And, yeah, so that's one thing. And another, sorry, what?
Basically, well, I mean, you have the skills at using your electronic tools better than I do. So you're able to do a lot of that, you know, whereas I would just use pencil and paper to write this stuff down. But if that's a better system for you and it works, and it gives you a sense as to the idea of writing everything like chores into an activity schedule would be just to tell you how much time you're spending on everything. And is it good time or is it wasted time?
Right, and I understand that, but, like, I kind of just operate better in a sense where I'm just like, let's hit these, because I'll set designated, I mean, the 10 hours a week thing right there, like, I know what I gotta do, so, you know, just, it makes me mindful of, like, okay, how much time did I spend today? Okay, I got, like, at least an hour, like, you know, I'm busy, I'm tired, whatever, that's good enough, you know?
Okay, good. So you're giving yourself some feedback.
Right.
Basically.
Yep. And the one other major difference I would say is that I'm trying to force myself to be social. So I've written that into the goals list where every week I need to do one thing, you know, semi-social and something new. And so, you know, a couple weeks ago, the whole family was over and we played Monopoly, so I counted that, even though that's kind of a cheap one.
I don't think so. I think it's important to include that one. I mean, that's a big one. I mean, you're talking about multiple people engaging in activity and conversation. Definitely.
No one wanted to play that game.
Nobody? Okay. Whose idea was it?
We were all going to play fucking Citadels, and then Buchenwald was like, let's play Monopoly, although I'm kind of tired, I'm not going to play the whole game. And, like, we just went around the circle, and I was like, does anyone even want to fucking play this game? And we just ended up playing for, like, I don't know, however long, but it was a relatively short game.
2 hours?
Nah, shorter than that.
Okay.
And when I say short game, we didn't finish.
Okay.
Yeah.
The goal itself is a good one. It's an excellent goal.
Yeah, man, because it's just too easy for me, I think, to kind of just let it slip by, you know. So I'm trying to consciously just do it more. So this week, you know, and I'm going to try to do something different each week. And there's one other goal written into it where each month I want to reach out to someone new, or at least someone I haven't reached out to in a long time. So Andy would be, or like, you know, a few other people would be easy choice for me this month.
Okay.
Yeah, but this week I started playing games with Doug again, and he's coming over in a couple weeks, and we're gonna work on the app and stuff. And you know, I'm starting to get the Python a little more, so I think it'll be, you know, I think it'll be good to just hang with him and talk about it.
And when is he coming?
He's coming down for my birthday, so
Okay.
that's in 3
March.
weeks.
Tell me the date, March?
March 6th.
Okay, I'm terrible about the dates. Okay, so it will be a birthday celebration
Yeah.
at Malcolm's household.
Yep.
Okay?
Party with the Clancy clan.
There you go. There you go. I think we probably talked about this in the past about increasing, how you increase social interactions, or basically, you know, social, you know, if you're socially anxious or phobic, you know, what kind of activities do you do? And in part, COVID has kind of messed that up a little bit. Because one of the things we talked about, actually you were doing it with the girl in Dunkin' Donuts, is when you go to a store, pick out the female, you know, behind the counter, and try to go to the female instead of the male, and have some interactions with the female. But you could also do that with the male. It's still social interaction. But that's harder with COVID because people just aren't going out as much, or to as many places.
Yeah, man, it was I mean, the social consequences of that, I think, have always been kind of self-evident, but I didn't even think of it till I was listening to Timmy Pool last night. But fucking a really good point is compound that with the social media, you know, oversight that's kind of been creeping in. There's just no going anywhere and exchanging ideas, you know,
Right.
and usually in person is where it's the most powerful. So, you know, I think that's just one little extra thing that forces people further into their echo chambers, and I think promotes just a little more radicalization, you know. It's just not a good look.
Reframe that for me so that I can understand it better.
I think quarantines has something of a radicalizing effect, just because more isolation, you know what I mean?
Yep.
More just, you know, mental impacts. And I mean, you know, when I think of like the Capitol, for example, I mean, could Trump have gone, you know, if there was no COVID or whatever, could something similar have happened? I guess so, but like, I think having people fucking under house arrest for a year is just boiling up a lot of tension. And we saw some of that release, you know, during the summer with the George Floyd riots, where I think to some extent people were just fed up with being locked in their fucking houses. So let's go out to the streets while everyone else is and just, you know, get some fresh air and throw some bricks through some windows. Get a release, you know. I guess in other words, I would say quarantining people is something of like a pressure cooker, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely. Because, I mean, on one hand, it really does limit your opportunities, doesn't it? Like, just the idea of wanting to meet more people. You can't go to a bar. Most of them are closed. And once you get in there, the opportunities for interacting are somewhat limited. People are keeping their distance. And you have to order food, so the full focus becomes food. Yeah, it really, yeah. And what was Poole talking about, basically, in his podcast?
Probably just the usual. I can't remember like the specific context where that idea popped up, but he talks a lot about media censorship and how the culture's going to shit and how, the elites just want as little communication between basically everyone as possible.
Except themselves.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I would just really love if any of those fucking Congress people, had to give up their fucking jobs for a quarantine. Really might put things in perspective for them.
Right, and to put away the microphone for a while, I think it would put things in perspective for them.
That's why I like the idea of old school. Like back in the day, the royalty was royalty and privilege, therefore, but they also had to, if there was a war, they were expected to personally lead it and be on the front line. So it's not like today where we can just, our elites can just throw poor people, into the meat grinder willy-nilly and not even have to think about it.
Yep. True.
I don't know, man. Let's restore the monarchy. That's what I say.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard a huge argument. Actually, it was at a formal meeting in the city here. I can't remember what it was, but it somehow went off the tracks. And a leader of one of a lesbian community or activist group had a huge argument with a recruiter who was there at the meeting. And basically, what she said to him was, you're just turning these kids into cannon fodder, But it's the poor kids. It's the disadvantaged. It's it's not the advantaged kids or the elitist. It's the ones who don't matter.
Yeah.
And that's a good point.
Yeah, man.
There was a Creedence Clearwater Revival song many years ago in which there was a line where John Fogerty says, "I ain't no senator's son." And it kind of like says it all,
Mm.
He was talking about the disparity between the elitists and the working class. Meanwhile, I see today that, I don't know how it happened, but somehow the judge agreed to extend this trial to allow for witnesses. Did you hear that?
Are we talking about the Trump trial?
Yeah.
Have you been watching any of it?
I can't take it. I can't listen to those guys bloviate.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the, I've been sitting through parts of both, the prosecution and defense, and, man, one of Trump's lawyers, that first guy who went...
The one who was all confused?
Yeah, man, like, I just remember literally, like, my whole family sitting around and just multiple times, all of us, including me, being like, what the fuck is he talking about?
Right.
Like, we just don't understand.
Yep.
And then, the defense lawyers, like, I point out to my mom some of the propaganda and shit, and I'm just like, oh man, I would love to be in that room. Give me an exhibit. Let me come up with a Sean Hannity mixtape. I'll blow all these fuckers out the water.
Didn't they come back, though, with some of those captions of the Democrats, waging war, over the past couple of years, threatening to kill and destroy, and people like Maxine Waters saying, confront them anywhere you can, at a gasoline station or a supermarket, or I think they showed a lot of that video yesterday, I believe, didn't they?
Yeah, I saw it, man. And I gotta tell you, I would have done the video way better because, like, I mean, there could have been multiple videos. I didn't watch every second of this whole thing, thank God. But, one of the videos was just really just like they threw some Maxine Waters craziness and stuff in there. But for the most part, it was just Democrats saying fight like hell. And, it was just a montage of that where, I feel like you could go so worse. You could go through the whole culture wars of, like, people wanting to murder a Covington kid for smirking after being harassed by a bunch of black Israelites, and the Fine People hoax, and man, just go through all of it. But I guess Trump couldn't afford me.
You couldn't afford the Hollywood production?
No, I said he couldn't afford me as his lawyer because I'm so good.
Oh, no. Well, the Democrats hired I don't know if you're aware of this, hired a slick production team to do all their videos and stuff.
Oh, of course.
Like billions. Like a Hollywood production unit, a movie unit, to do all their montage and all that stuff.
Are we talking literally billions? Because like some of this is social media stuff kids could put together for free on like YouTube.
Yeah, I know they could. No, I don't know if it's billions, but they spent a lot of money. They hired, went right outside the party and hired professionals.
Oh, worked with Hollywood, of course, course, yes. Why not have a great production team?
That's why it was so slick, the production.
Mm.
Well, I think I didn't see it all, but it must have been helpful. If there was anyone who did not believe that there were people that Kamala Harris was bailing out the, Antifa people and stuff like that, they had a chance to at least see it, that this was real.
Yeah, man, that one really pissed me off because I remember when the Capitol riots and Biden said, well, what would happen if this was a black crowd? I'd be like, you would be bailing them all out, motherfucker. Like, all these Capitol folks are going to jail. White privilege my ass.
Right, exactly. Yeah, the whole thing is very disturbing, it's just that carries on and drags on. I just, as a clinician, I'm so amazed at the level of hatred toward one person that it's, that it could carry on to this level, that they just won't let it go, that their lives, it's like Trump is in their heads forever and ever, 24/7, living rent-free, and they can't get him out, It's not going to end anytime soon.
Yeah, man, it will be fascinating to see how long they try to keep Trump front and center of the headlines. Like, are we going to be like 4 years down the line and, he's still out to get us?
Yeah, well, he doesn't have to do too much now. They're doing it for him. They're doing all his homework for him.
Well, he can't even do that much now because he's been fucking censored and shit.
Right. I know. I was thinking of, about a great book. Yeah, I know it's sort of a theme of the greatest scapegoats of all time. And you could have Trump, Christ, the Salem witches.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dog.
There'd be a whole group of people.
Yeah, man. What I tell people is that like Trump himself, the man, isn't necessarily like. I think he's a little more complicated as a person than people give him credit for. But at the end of the day, he's something of a caricature of himself. He likes winning. He likes big gold buildings and hot women and all of that. So it's like what it is. But as a figure, like as a symbol, he's the most complicated, fucking fascinating object just because everyone projects something different on him. You know what I mean?
Great point.
He really does. Like, I don't think there's anyone I've seen in my lifetime that really runs the spectrum from like Mega Hitler to Jesus.
Yeah. Good point. Excellent point.
Excellent. Yep. It's crazy.
Yep. And he truly does. And and it varies too sometimes, depending on who you're talking to or what's going on at the time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think he's too fascinating to, be totally out of the public eye. I don't see that happening at all. Now that I think he needs a little bit of money now that his hotels are suffering, and they're not suffering because of the shit that's happened to him. It's more the COVID, actually, from what I've read. That he's got a few tricks up his sleeve, and he's probably hired some production team or a group of thinkers, think tank sort of people to figure out how he can bust himself out into their next reimagining of Donald Trump. because you know what's going to happen.
Yeah, man, he is not someone who will, I just don't think he's someone who could ever just retire and live with himself, you know? I think he's just got too much of a restless spirit.
Exactly. I like that term, restless spirit.
Yeah, man, he's just very, I mean, he sleeps 3 hours a night from what I understand because he just likes to keep going.
Yeah. Can you imagine that? Having conditioned your system so that you can function on that amount of sleep?
That is I don't understand it at all, man. You know, I just really, it's hard for me to imagine. I don't know what made me think of it, but I heard this one story from a guy who was talking about ranger training, and it's just like, it really makes you realize, like, it's not just about the guns and tactics and all that shit. It's like, can you have basic functionality off like an hour of sleep a night for fucking weeks and no food?
Yep.
And people are like hallucinating and shit. I'm like, bro, I can't deal with either of those.
Yeah. And actually, Ranger training, Navy SEAL training, they do take it to the limit in that way. Because how much can you sustain? How much can the body and mind take? I love those stories about people who've been incarcerated or locked up for years, especially in the war times. You know, it's brutal conditions. And somehow they survive. And, you know, it's that concept of resilience. You know, who has it, who doesn't? And, you know, are you born with it or do you develop it? You know, it's a good question.
Yeah.
But for sure we're not done with the Donald. But this is a circuitous way to get around to you. Speaking of sleep, how was your sleep?
I would say pretty good overall. I have been avoiding late nights for the most part. Slept in today, although I didn't really mean to, but yeah, I've been fine. I've been avoiding I haven't been drinking at all. You know, I could have last night, but just decided against it.
Okay.
And
is it a conscious decision?
Yeah, my dad had a big glass of wine, and it was a Friday night, so I was like, Yanni, can I have a glass of my wine? And he's like, sure. And then I thought for a second, fuck, I still want to do more Python. I'm probably not going to retain it if I'm high and drunk, so let's just skip it. And then I did my Python, and I'm like, it's getting late. It's not going to do much for me, and I feel like I know myself enough where I'm the kind of type where if I have one drink, I'm probably going to want another.
Yeah, we've talked about this quite a bit.
Yeah.
That's your style. You're going to go all the way.
You know, drink to get drunk.
Yeah. It's like, why waste the time? You're not going to go all the way, right?
Yeah.
The family that drinks together stays together. Do you guys drink together, do you think?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Right, a family that drinks together stays together.
Are you sure about that?
I'm joking, actually.
Okay.
A family that prays together stays together, and a family that drinks together stays together.
Yeah. Yeah, man. You want to go off improvised agenda item?
Yeah, sure.
So, this week's been very stable overall. I had a few scuffles with Buchenwald that I wasn't even going to bring up as an agenda item, but I had another attack this morning, and it just got me thinking, what your thoughts are on publicly shaming family members on a platform, because I would just love to go. Did you ever get that? I think it was a few weeks ago, but did you get that Tim Dillon show thing I sent you where he goes in on his aunt for a half hour?
Yeah. Yeah.
I know we have zero audience and whatever, but it makes me wonder, like, I guess about the morality of just bashing this person, you know, on the podcast all the fucking time, but I can't help it. She's in my fucker face. Like, for example, this morning, my parents were playing, you know, because they pause and tape and whatever, the trial, and they're reading off the count, and my, Buchenwald's in the kitchen, and I walk by her, and just as a, you know, joke or whatever, I go, impeach Cheeto Hitler, impeach Cheeto Hitler, and she just snaps on me, like, I don't even remember what she said. She just starts like mumbling, and then she just yells at me and like, can you fucking stop? And I'm like, it's a joke that's not even directed at you. Like, lighten up a little bit, will ya? And
does she know? Does she realize it's a joke?
It doesn't matter, I guess. But she just starts yelling at me, and I'm like, dude, what's your issue? And she starts screaming at me like, you smell! And, you know, like smoke. And this is like I guess I'm getting at the real issue with Buchenwald. It's getting to a point where she's imagining transgressions where they don't exist. So, you know, this morning she says, I smelled, and I'm like, Buchenwald, I haven't even smoked yet today. What are you talking about? And she goes, whatever, you're annoying. And then at that point, I'm just like, whatever, and walk away. And then I just hear a bunch of screaming in the household for a few minutes. And then I walk in, and my mom's ready to tear my head off. But then I just explained to her that, like I didn't even throw mud or say anything insulting, like, you know, and then I just walked away. So I have zero apologies for this morning. I didn't yell. I didn't say, fuck you, bitch, or any of that nonsense. I said...
Why was your mother ready to tear your head off?
Because she assumes that I started a fight with her, and, you know, sometimes she will throw shit, and I will just throw shit back, so... You know, it's, like, ridiculous, but earlier this week, she had a huge meltdown because I was on my computer in the TV room during Jeopardy, and the mouse clicking or whatever was too loud for her. And I'm like, she was just really nasty that day, so I was kind of just in no mood. And I'm like, bitch, just turn it up. And she still starts screaming and having a fit or whatever. And my dad's there, and he's like, I can't hear the clicking. Can you stop this bullshit? And I start using just like the little mouse on the laptop itself, so I'm not using like the actual mouse next to it. And then I put my hand on the mouse because it has that like little scroll thing to scroll up and down. And she starts screaming, he's clicking again! He's clicking again! And I'm like, I'm not... But I literally just used the scroll button, and I'm like using it in front of them, like, you hear that scrolling and you can't hear anything. And she's like, his hand was on the mouse. And this is what I mean when she's like literally just imagining like doing all kinds of mental gymnastics to make me out to be like the devil. And it's just, I don't know what to do other than drown her in a tub full of holy water, but, you know.
Could try spraying holy water.
Yeah.
That word's worth a shot.
The power of grace compels you.
It almost seems like it's, you know, an occupation at times for her. It gives her something to do.
Interesting.
Get you going. The best thing to do, and it's the hardest thing to do sometimes, is just simply to ignore it. But you said, you know, at times you just got to jump back into the shit. You just can't ignore it any longer.
I mean, I usually ignore or try to play it off or just joke. I've mentioned before, I usually just do a Nazi impression, and that gets gets a laugh, but
Okay.
because, you know, it's not just like the attack. She'll just go after me over like shit where I'm not doing anything. Like, you know, I walked into the, you know, pantry one day, just opened the pantry door to get like a snack, and my mom had a bag of chocolate bark. You know that?
Mm-hmm.
That's one of her favorites. So I reach the bag to get one, and then I hear from the TV room, booking wall goes, "Malcolm, what are you doing?" And I turn to her and I go, "Mein Führer, I am eating the chocolate bar. Is this acceptable?" And just, you know, do the whole Hitler thing. And she actually cracked up at that because, like, she, on some level, subconsciously, she even knows how full of shit she is. Like, one time she said, "I don't get mad or upset over petty things." And then I just look at her and she started, like, busting up because even she knew how full of fucking shit she is.
She appreciates it. Actually, you do the Nazi thing pretty well. I mean, you could call on the phone and say, "Jesus Hinkley," you know.
Yeah.
Just wondered what you're doing.
Where are your peppers?
But the thing I wrote down here is humor is great. If you can cut through some of this with humor and get her to buy into a little bit of it and see how ridiculous it is, where she can laugh at it.
Yeah, for me, humor usually, if done correctly, is the number one tension killer.
Yep. You got it. You got it. When you said we don't have much of an audience, how can we get an audience, basically?
No idea other than, I guess, word of mouth. But, at the end of the day, it's about the art, man.
Yep.
I think it would be nice to have an audience just because I do think there are some positive things that come out of these conversations people can use and some entertainment too. But you know, man, I guess word of mouth really is just the only way to do it.
Yeah, and the people I've sent it to like it, you know.
I'm glad.
And I ask some of them to be critical, and they are, and give it to me straight. But they're definitely, I mean, there's just such a proliferation of podcasts that it's beyond belief. Everybody and his brother and sister have one, but nobody has one that does this. So I think we just keep going at it. Now, if somebody were to look for this, Malcolm, just to look for where to find it, how would they do that?
So right now, the only place I have the podcast up, and I probably should add this to the goals list of finding out how to get it on an actual proper podcast app, such as you know, Apple or Spotify or something, but right now everything's just on YouTube. So
okay.
I've got the Malcolm Clancy TV channel, YouTube channel, where I'm gonna put all the content up, and maybe one day we'll get a website. I don't know. I don't think we really need one right now.
No, we don't. But the thing is, if somebody were to type in psychotherapists on YouTube, they might have a shot at picking it up.
So if you when I type in the psychotherapist, it comes up pretty quick. So
okay, on YouTube.
Yeah, or at least the psychotherapist podcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that word would be critical to put in there.
Yeah, it's a helpful one.
Okay. Yeah, I would think so. Listen, I have only a few more minutes today. Is there anything else you wanted to delve into here?
I don't feel like anything, you know, really neat, I guess. Neat little bow. But, Duncan Girls is gone.
Is she really?
I haven't seen her in a week, so, yeah, I think...
Oh, that's a shame.
I think she got a new job or went to school or got fired or whatever.
That is a shame. Did you have any feelings about it? Like even a little feeling about a sense of loss?
No.
No?
I mean, I didn't know this person, really, so the thing is, for me, there's just, I'm pretty optimistic in that department in the sense that there's, you know, how big is the world? 4 billion women on the planet. You know, there's there's a lot of fucking beta guys out there, and
Yep.
I'm one of them, but I'm improving. So whatever. I'm not. The whole thing is that this is quarantine anyway, so I think that more than anything, kind of numbs it all.
It does. But that familiar stranger concept, that you see someone or you run into someone every day that's interesting, or that you kind of hope you run into just for a couple seconds even, it kind of makes you feel better, just elevates your mood and everything, and then the person's gone. You do have feelings about it. Everybody would. Anybody would.
I mean, I suppose, but not enough for me to stop and think about it. I don't know. I might be drifting towards sociopathy. They were talking last night on Tim Pool about some guy on CNN who ate a human brain, and I was just like, I mean, that's not good, but...
ate a human brain?
Yeah, they're like, oh man, he's got PTSD and it really fucked him up, and I'm like, I could eat a human brain.
Oh, wow.
Maybe I should be committed, I don't know. No.
But I mean, eating brain is not unusual in many cultures.
I think that was like kind of the point, like he went to some, I don't know which culture, some Indiana Jones shit, I guess, but whatever. But I see it as a strength,
Yeah.
because, I mean, it's just good to be able to fucking dissociate or disengage or just cut that shit off, It's just, it's a survival mechanism, for me at least. I think of something I heard in the Jocko podcast recently where, he's talking about some issue. I can't remember which war it was, but there's too many guys when someone goes down who want to play the medic, who want to save them, and it's like, no, you got to detach, you got to keep going, you got to eliminate the enemy, and then you can secure your wounded,
Yeah.
So, I just try not to put too much emotion into anything.
Is there any book you're reading now that you would recommend?
Nah, I haven't really gone as back into it as I would have liked. I did start rereading History of the Peloponnesian War, but I think you gotta be a classics dork to really dig that one.
Right. Yeah.
Too many fucking names.
Books I'm reading all at once, and they're all kind of quasi-reference books, Like a book called Thanks, basically the background is on gratitude, and I'm still working on the book Breath, which basically, ties into meditation and things like that, and, more like academic books.
Yeah. Weren't you writing a book at one point?
I was.
What happened with that?
It just got stagnated.
We can revisit it maybe next week if you want to talk about it.
We definitely should.
Yeah. Alright, man, I don't want to...
We did three Christs of Ypsilanti, but I was talking about, the greatest martyrs or scapegoats of all time. Christ, the Salem witches, and Donald Trump. Tie it all together.
Yeah, man, I wouldn't put Trump in the same category personally as Socrates, but I think there really is something to be said for, like, Jesus and Socrates and figures like that basically tell the truth and they're executed for it.
Yep, exactly. Did you ever hear of the book, The Three Christs of Ypsilanti?
No, I haven't.
I bet you it's out of print. It was a good one. It was a true story written by a psychiatric resident at this Ypsilanti, Michigan mental hospital, like in the 60s, early 60s. And it was this backward kind of unit that had all heavy schizophrenics hallucinating all the time. And three of them said they were Christ. All three fought with each other every day about who was Christ. That was how they spent their time. He wrote a book called The Three Christs of Ypsilanti. It was amusing.
Yeah, because what would the real Jesus do? Fight for his identity with everyone every day.
Exactly. These three fought with each other every day.
That's funny.
I'm Christ. No, you're Christ. No, I'm Christ. Don't listen to him. I'm Christ. Yeah. I could just imagine that this guy saw the humor in it. Was great, though.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I remember borrowing the book actually from our professor at the time. He had referenced it, and I was the only one who had any interest in even looking at it. But sometime I wanted to go over some of the stuff from the initial from the project, project we're doing. I'm involved in it, Dana-Farber, about the mental health aspects of COVID. And I just got the first set of papers from the first part of it and filled out my part for chapter 2. And I just thought it'd be interesting to talk about some of it. Now they're setting it up because it looks like what they're beginning to see are a lot of symptoms similar to PTSD in many ways. And I just have a whole list of stuff. And maybe next time we can talk about some of it. Okay?
Fuck yeah, dude. We'll put it we'll put it front and center next week.
Yeah, I think people would find it interesting.
Word, man.
All right, Malcolm.
All right, Sir Bobbert. It was good talking to you.
Keep up the fight, okay?
No, that's inciting violence. Bob, why are you inciting violence?
Yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna commit an act of terrorism now and blame you.
Keep it cool. Stay calm. Stay stable.
All right, we'll do, man. We'll be in touch.
Talk to you later.
Yep, peace
Bye.
out.